Hello everybody, it's Hater. Welcome to my first ever Lost Ark build video. And as somebody who is currently an Artillerist main, today we're going to be talking about a build guide for Artillerist in PvP so that anyone who is interested in the class can pick up and learn it. So if you guys are into that kind of thing, show some support by giving the video a like, subscribing to the channel, and letting me know down in the comments what you guys think about the build. Enough said though, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so that the way that we're looking to be playing Artillerist in PvP, it's going to be a little different. Playing Artillerist means you're going to be playing near the mid game. A lot of the mid range outside of this point, say this is like a melee character, we're going to be playing around here trying to just keep our distance and then looking for opportunities. Artillerist is one of those classes that excels really well at catching people out, baiting people, and then wombo comboing them and punishing them for their mistakes. 9 times out of 10 when you're playing Artillerist or seeing an Artillerist, the combo that a lot of people are going to do is use their Gatling gun and then follow up with a swing into homing barrage, air raid, napalm. A lot of times this is why people complain about the Gatling gun. You Gatling them, you stun them, you lay your damage, knock them up, and it's all a huge wombo combo that they have to sit there and take. This is probably the most toxic, I would even say, combo you can use on Artillerist, and it is your bread and butter. So before we even get talking about all of these abilities and what they do, let's learn about the firepower meter. The firepower meter is one of your most important tools, and you have to pay attention to it when playing PvP. You can kind of passively pay attention to it or actively pay attention to it. It doesn't really matter. What it does is that there are 3 zones on the firepower meter mentioned by a dial. Once the dial fills up across the meter, it gives you bonuses. At the start of the orange meter, you get 10% more damage. At the end of the orange meter, you get 20% more damage. And then once you reach the final part of the dial, you get 30% more damage until the firepower meter resets. During that time, you can look to burst people down extremely hard, because 30% more damage means 30% more damage on all of your abilities. 9 times out of 10, if you have firepower meter 3 and you land your wombo combo, somebody is taking about 80% damage instantaneously from that one mistake. The other thing that comes with the firepower meter is once you see the red light blinking, you can enter barrage mode. Barrage mode is the big turret. This is the big turret, and what this does is that it turns you stationary. If you can see, if I try to click anywhere, it's not going to let me go. This by itself is a double-edged sword. If you're going to use your turret mode, use it very sparingly. The only times I've ever, or actually tried to actively look to use turret mode, is when I can actually use it. Sorceresses, strikers, war dancers, pretty much anything that excels off of diving onto you and messing you up looks for turret mode, because you're also not invulnerable at all during this mode. You can get stunned, you can get frozen, and you can get killed. It's very, very dangerous to use. On the offhand though, it is also one of the best tools that you have because of the big beam, the giant beam. The big beam, or energy cannon, is literally a humongous laser that just sweeps around the entire room. If you hit somebody with this laser from start to finish, they're taking almost 80% damage. 80% of their HP is a lot of HP, especially when they can't get out of it and they're also vulnerable to being wombo comboed by your team. If you land this on somebody or actively follow it up with somebody, somebody is going to die. But for the other tools that you have bombardment, impregnability. This is your giant shield. This gives you 30% shield. It's just extremely good when you're in this stationary mode, so you can negate damage. The other thing is the focus fire. This is a hold ability. This just allows you to explode everything in a radius, and you can also move 360 with it. This is really handy if you don't have your energy cannon active, and it will do about 50% people's HP bars. It's definitely good, but I wouldn't actively look to use it unless you don't have beam and you're still wombo comboing people in an extended fight. And then the final ability is Howitzer. Howitzer is just a point and click. It's air raid, but for your turret. That's as simple as that. Now that we've gone over turret, we can talk about the abilities. And for the service stats, for the stats you'll be using in PvP, it's always going to be the same thing. 1 crit, 249 domination, and 750 swiftness. I have never seen any artillerist not use these stats ever, because they're just the best. You get swiftness for the fast abilities, you get domination for your ability damage, and then you have the 1 crit so you can hit crits. It's very, very self-explanatory. Now that we've gone over what the firepower meter does and the playstyle you're looking to play artillerist with, let's actually talk about these abilities down in the bottom left. Now, the build that I use for artillerist is a little different because I like to use Plasma Storm. Plasma Storm is a little different. Instead of using something like Howitzer, for example, Howitzer is more often than not what everybody uses on artillerist because of Opportunist. This allows you to do 30% more damage to enemies who are airborne or knocked down, and gives you a good combo tool for air raid and homing barrage. Now, the reason I use Plasma Storm in my build is because it will create an obstacle. Because of how big the zone is, in that it slows people because of one of the tripods and stuns them, it creates that extra resource that they have to worry about, and can also kite them into corners because it's chasing them. I also like to use that with air raid from afar if they do get caught in it, for that extra damage. Now, for the main abilities that you're looking to have on artillerist and pay attention to use, your main big abilities is air raid combined with homing barrage. Landing both of these together is going to deal almost 99% of your damage. Air raid fires a giant bullet, and then homing barrage makes a missile come down from the sky. Using these together is a humongous wombo combo. That's why you have a tool that knocks enemies up like Napalm Shot, or something that corrals them like Plasma Storm. Swing, Gatling Gun, and Flamethrower are going to be your hit commands. You pretty much look to use these to start the combo. For the tripods that we'll be using on air raid, we're going to be using the quick fire. All these are pretty much going to stay the same. You pretty much won't change these because nothing's realistically better. But we're going to be using quick fire for faster attack speed. This gets the bullet out faster. Lightning barrage so that it turns the damage typing to electricity, but it also increases the crit rate by 30%. Giving it higher crit means it's going to hit even harder when it does crit more often. It's amazing. And then the final one is the big one. Now the big one, instead of using the standard one, let's say we're using Ruthless Barrage, instead of it firing, you see multiple bullets at once, that's not that good. It's not that good at all. What the big one does, and what most people see when using artillerist, is the 1 bullet. It just fires 1 big bullet and does a lot of damage. Nothing else you could say there. This is your most important one, and you're pretty much not going to be changing these 3. For the homing barrage though, as I said before, it is literally the exact same thing as air raid, but with a different flavor. For this, we're going to be using guiding enhancement. These other ones are relatively useless. I would just use guiding enhancement because it gets it out faster. It removes 1 second from the delay between installing the guiding device and the missile's arrival. Just means it's hitting faster. It's amazing. And then of course we're using Vital Point Bombardment. Again, this will increase the crit rate by 30%, meaning you crit more often, deal more damage. And then the final one is Power Bomb. Power Bomb increases the overall damage on the rocket itself by 60%. At the same time, when it lands, it's going to create this contamination field. This contamination field does AoE damage over time, and it also helps, deal more overall damage. For the next ability that we're going to be talking about, it's going to be the Napalm Shot. All this does is when we use it, it detonates a napalm shell in front of us, knocking any enemies up, and then it also burns them by the AoE after. Now, the main reason we are using this in the build is to extend the combo duration on homing barrage with air raid. Let's say, for example, we use our swing to stun somebody in PvP, we lay homing barrage, air raid, there actually isn't enough time for both of those attacks to hit. So when we try to go for something like that, people are just going to stand up and then roll out of it. So what we do is we weave the napalm shot in between it at the end. So we'll swing, homing barrage, air raid, napalm. They're now knocked up and guaranteed to take the damage. Pretty self-explanatory. For the book of coordination for the tripods, because there are only 340 skill points in the PvP one, we're going to be using napalm at level 4 and then use wide explosion. The main reason we use this at level 4 is because A, we don't have enough points to actually put into it to make it level 10, and B, it's the least important skill in the build. For the next ability, since we were talking about it, let's talk about swing. Swing is very self-explanatory. You swing your launcher and deal damage, but with the tripods we're using, it allows us to dash forward and then stun the enemy. This is the key starter for getting homing barrage and air raid going, as I stated before. For the tripods we'll be using with it, we're going to be using this at level 10, and then we're going to use quick attack so that we have 20% attack speed on it to hit faster, advancing hit so that we charge 6 meters in front of us, and then stunner so that it stuns for 3 seconds. The reason we use advancing hit is because without it, if we're not using it, for example, let's say we're going to use magic extortion, it just swings in front of us. We're not able to close that distance with it at all. So with advancing hit, it allows us to close that distance and use it with a lot of things. For the next ability we can talk about, let's talk about Gatling gun and flamethrower. Both of these are pretty much the exact same thing, but comes in different flavors, just like air raid and homing barrage. For Gatling gun, all it does is it's probably the most toxic ability that artillerists have in PvP. You become stationary and you just fire your minigun. During this time, enemies are getting hit stunned, and then that opens them up for us to swing them. Then follow through with the combo of homing barrage and air raid and napalm shot. For the flamethrower, we just have a flamethrower that we just burn people and attack with. This is also another hit command that we can lead into swing with. At the same time, it's also going to apply a DOT to them. For Gatling gun, we're going to be using quick prep so that it has a 3-second shorter cooldown. You could also use enhanced shot if you want to deal more damage with it. It's really up to you, but with Gatling gun being a 16-second cooldown in PvP, the extra time is really nice to get your combo going. But if you feel like it's not that big of a deal, you can use enhancing shot. For the other ones, we're going to use tenacity. This will then give us push immunity while we are in the Gatling gun. This is the best tripod in the game, I think, for artillerists right now because of how broken this is on Gatling gun. We gain push immunity while we're in Gatling gun. This means we have to be hard CC'd to stop doing it. It's very powerful. So at any moment that we are getting challenged at all, if we're getting hit by abilities, this entire time we are push immune. They have to stun us to actually get us out of it. For the final one, that is aimed shot. Now aimed shot is going to close the angle on the Gatling gun itself, the spread, but then it's going to increase the range on it by 50%. Now it increasing the range by 50% means we can almost hit it from over here. We're hitting somebody from that far, and then we can lead into swing. Look how much distance we are gaining off of that. Like, he's at the edge of my screen over here. That's insanity. But for the flamethrower, now that we've gone over Gatling gun, we're going to be using Vital Point. You could also use quick prep on this too. This just adds extra crit rate, 20% crit rate. You can crit with it, or you can have it more often. Having it more often, especially since it is a 20-second cooldown, means it'll be the same as Gatling gun. I actually like using flamethrower with quick prep over Vital Point in PvP because you can just use it as a zoning tool. So you can also just walk back and forth and then apply that pressure with it. For the last two, the other one is going to be ranged flame, increasing the range on the flamethrower by 20% so that it hits from a further range. And then scorching blaze. Scorching blaze will allow the flamethrower to hit from a wider range. At the same time, if it hits somebody, it's going to start burning them. That burn is going to tick them for damage over and over again for 10 seconds. That duration is insanity. For 10 seconds, this person is burning. I've killed so many people in PvP with the final tick on Scorching Blaze. It's actually insane. And those are pretty much very self-explanatory. For the last ability, before we get to the one that you can change out, it's going to be your Energy Field. Energy Field is probably the best ability that Artillerist has in the entire game. You literally press it. It is a shield on demand for 30% of your HP. And then you're just really hard to kill on demand. At the same time, while we're using the tripods for it, when we're using field release, enemies will take damage when we pop it. You could use pretty much nothing else here works with it. Firepower concentration is, I mean, it's all right. You have to be 30% HP or lower to make it work. Or mine concentration, it doesn't consume any MP, which that doesn't really matter. The extra damage is nice, but you could also mess around with firepower concentration if you feel like you want to get your meter up. For the other one, it's going to be energy increase. Energy increase is broken. It's literally broken. It increases the overall duration by 5 seconds to make it a 9-second shield. Beyond insane. 5 seconds is a lot of time to have a shield up for 30% HP. Absolutely bonkers. But the final one, solid shield, is insanely broken. It grants you push immunity while using the skill and while the shield is active, meaning the entire time this is active, you have to be hard CC'd to be able to be comboed. Without a doubt, one of the best you can use, but you could also mess around with energy share. Energy share will apply the shield to everyone that you have, anyone that's in your party within 24 meters, but it only is like half of it, so it's like 15% of the shield. It's kind of good if you want to play like a support, but overall you're going to be using solid shield. Now the actual way you are going to be hitting Howitzer in a combo is that we're going to be fitting it in between our homing barrage and our air raid. Instead of using both of these together, we fill Howitzer in between so that we can get opportunist going. So now with everything, we do Gatling gun, we stun, homing barrage, Howitzer, air raid, and then napalm. And that will land the entire combo, dealing a lot of damage. If you ever want to just deal as much damage as possible, or even bring this into 1v1s if you're doing elimination, this is the strongest combination in the game for Artillerist by far. You can even mess around with energy field and then getting the field release to damage them also while using it. For the actual tripods that you'll be using on Howitzer, you're going to be using Swift Fingers to increase the attack speed by 10%. You could also mess around with armor destruction. I like using Swift Fingers because it makes the bullet come out faster and makes the combo a bit more consistent, but both of them are interchangeable depending on what you like. Then you're going to be using Opportunist because it is the absolute best tripod for Howitzer. You're not changing anything else out for Focus Barrage or Final Barrage. And then the final one you're going to be using is Firework. This allows it to shoot multiple bullets at once instead of one, and will keep enemies in the air for much longer. You're not going to be using Flash Shell at all because Firework is just the best in slot for it. Now that we're done going over Howitzer and Plasma Storm, we can talk about the third and final ability that you can change out for that final slot. And this one is much towards the preference of people who want to keep that mid distance and keep people who dive right off of you. If you do plan on using that kind of tactic, then Jump Barrage is the ability you're going to use. Now what this does is when you use it, it creates an explosion at your feet, knocking enemies away from you. But if you're also using the Rocket Jump tripod, it allows you to dash away at the same time. So if you feel like you're getting dove way too much by Deathblades, Shadow Hunters, Strikers, and War Dancers, etc., you can use this as a tool to keep yourself in the mid-range. So say for example, this is a Deathblade trying to dive me, we use Jump Barrage and we just dash away, sending them in the other direction, keeping us in the mid-range. Very useful tool, and if you feel like that's something you want to use, then this is an option. For the tripods we'll be using with it, we're going to be using Quick Jump so that the cast speed on it is 10% faster, Wide Explosion so that the radius on the explosion is 15% larger. This is really good because this will also catch people who are trying to dive you from a further range and gives you more of a stronger reaction speed to catch them out. You could also mess around with Enhanced Barrage for the extra damage if you feel like you need the timing. And then we're going to be using Rocket Jump because it's just better than Triple Barrage. Now that we've gone over pretty much every single ability and talked about the combos on Artillerist, we can finally talk about the one last thing, and that's the Awakening. Now coming with Artillerist at level 50 after you've gotten the quest done to get your first Awakening, you unlock Missile Barrage. Now, Missile Barrage, in my opinion, is the worst of the two for PvP. In PvE, though, it's amazing. What it does is you point and click an area, and then it shoots a bunch of rockets. Now, the only downside to this ability is that in PvP, the rockets have a lot of RNG when hitting enemies. You can use it if you feel like it's very consistent, but in my opinion, using the other one, the heavy turret, is better. What it does is when you aim it, it is a smaller zone than the barrage, and it will summon a heavy turret. The heavy turret has two different attacks. It has a AoE ring that will shoot a laser from the sky, and then the other one is just a automated laser beam that it fires. Once you do use it though, it has a second ability called the photoelectronic cannon. After it's out and it's firing on enemies, if you see that it's hitting somebody, you can hit the photoelectronic cannon, and then it fires a mega beam to deal even more damage while it's still automated. During this time, you can also swing people, use your wombo combo, and then deal even more damage. So if you guys haven't done the second awakening quest, which comes from your mailbox, then get it done and get the heavy turret for PvP. It just is really useful to get extra free damage on people when you're catching them out. All right, guys, now that we're done explaining everything, I jumped right into a ranked PvP game to give a good demonstration of how this is going to look. So this is going to be my live commentary of what I'm thinking, what I'm planning, all that as we play. So we have a Scrapper, Striker, Shadow Hunter on the enemy team, and I've got a Paladin and Bard, meaning I'm probably going to need to do the most damage and let them zone. I'm going to pop shield here and then apply pressure with the Plasma Strike. Plasma Storm is going to apply that pressure we need. And let's catch this person out. Didn't get enough hits done. That happens. They are getting zoned really hard. I'm going to pop my ult in response. Relay Flamethrower. She's on me, so she's going to take a lot of damage from that. She dashed out before the second part hit, and she had super armor, so that's fine. So we lay another plasma here. I'm waiting for some of them to just get hit. This is a bit of a weird zone I'm in. I don't want to be in the middle of all this, and we go into turret mode. She's getting CC'd, so we turret. I already killed one of the other ones. Did I kill the Striker by accident? No, I killed the Shadow Hunter by accident. Funny. This should be dead. That's another kill. All right, now we just play the zoning game again in mid-range. Play the Plasma Storm. She's tried to goes in, and she's punished. Do the wombo combo, as we talked about, ladies and gentlemen. And there goes half of her entire HP bar. We're going to minigun this. Try to kill the Striker if we can. I don't have any ability, so I'm trying to play slow. Get the Plasma out and try to walk with it. Minigun. Go on her. That's perfectly fine. She just got, oh my goodness gracious. She got 100 zeroed. Absolutely obliterated in the matter of moments. I double crit her. You gotta enjoy it when you get the double crits like that, ladies and gentlemen. We're just gonna flamethrower since we got plasma. He's trying to dive in. We go in, stun him. He's now punished. We still have this going. I'm just gonna lay that out. I've still got the very strong armor from this. I might take a lot of damage because I don't have any abilities up. They need a zone for me. I gotta walk with it here. We're gonna play plasma. Plasma's gonna do a lot of work for me here. He's now stunned. That should be a dead Striker. Oh, it's a dead double kill. No, we don't need to go to turret. I thought about going turret if I had enough time for the head stun, but we are perfectly fine. That's a catch out. I don't really have anything to follow up, so we're gonna lay plasma. She's gonna follow up, but she's gonna get stunned by my plasma. We lay flamethrower here, just lay some damage. Now we're gonna stun him. They're getting lifted up. We go for the big damage. We're not gonna hit it though, which is sad. I'm gonna get killed by that. Yep. They do focus me there, which does happen. The Striker used his awakening, and all of us are relatively low, so we all should die here. That's perfectly fine when it's 7-2. Because I'm gonna have to wait a little because she is getting attacked. Oh, never mind. We're good. That was a waste. I got baited. That's a really good prediction there. That was a bad prediction also there. Now they're womboing me. You see, I'm the target of this game for them. Yeah, they really want me, so I need all that zoning. Play the flamethrower, get some burn damage on him. He's gonna try to dive me, which is perfectly fine here. If I get up, I can go for a stun. Not good at all. Not good at all, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot be this hard dove. That's like I said, that's the weakness of playing an artillerist. If you get dove, it's pretty much it, man. Should be able to kill him. I already used my roll, so I can't do anything else. And they are done. 5-10 is the end score. That is how you play artillerist in a PvP game, ladies and gentlemen. They even had 3 people who dived me, which is my huge weakness. We laid out 600,000 damage at a 3,300 battlefield score, and that is the game. If you guys have any questions about artillerist at all, please let them down in the comments. I will answer them as fast as I can. Also, if you want to ask me a question, come join me over at HaterThe1 at twitch.tv/HaterThe1. You guys can ask me questions, even hang out or talk to me, since I play Lost Ark literally every single day. Subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out the channel, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.